So I am now officially back from Japan. Breaks my heart. What makes it worse is I always have a trip planned, and this is the first time ever I actually don't have a trip planned after a trip, and it's freaking me out. But I thought, what better use of my time than give you information all about Japan, because it is actually quite a hard country to plan for. There's so much to see, there's so much to do, there's so many places to eat. So let me try and help run it down. So to start with, I obviously was flying from the UK. I flew from Gatwick. My layover was in Shanghai, where we had 8 hours. So instead of just sitting in the airport, we actually decided to head to a spa. This was actually really cool. It was an hour away in the taxi, and it cost 100, is it Chinese yen? I can't remember what the currency is actually called, but it was 100, which worked out at £10. It was really cool. There was a lot in there, but the first thing we did obviously was the spa, and we didn't have any expectations for it. We'd seen a couple of clips of it on like TikTok, I guess, and it looked really nice. We got there, we were separated immediately, Dan on his own, me and Meg together, because it was separate genders. Once we got in there, they gave us some like pajamas. So obviously we put our swimsuits on, and then we put pajamas on, and then we were greeted by this woman who was yelling like, no, 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 but couldn't speak any English. So she ended up translating and saying, no, you have to be naked. So we then took our swimsuits off and put the pajamas back on, because what on earth were these pajamas for? And they were like, no, 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 no clothes in the spa. So we were like, right. So me and Meg had to get completely starkers, get in the spa, get in the little bath, the sauna, completely naked. And while we were sat there, all we were thinking was, oh, what on earth is going to be going through Dan's head? Because he was literally in a spa on his own, probably completely naked. After about like half an hour, because the pools were actually so warm, we were too hot, we wanted to cool down, we could have done with a cold plunge. I think we were so stressed about the whole scenario to start with. We got out, and then we put our pajamas on, so that's what they were for. We put the pajamas on, which were then to go out of the spa-y area and into like where you eat. So included in the price, which was £30 per person, it was like a limited time in there. It was 24-hour open spa. You then go into the little foodie bit where you get your drinks. There's an absolutely incredible like fruit salad buffet where they've got like literally every different fruit in like stackable little pots. So I like stacked them right up and took them to the table and ate them all. Delicious snack, 10 out of 10. But in there's also like a cinema room, there's bunk beds to sleep in, there's a gaming room, there's like hundreds of gaming rooms actually, loads of different stations, just so much to do in there, so many places to sleep. We actually grabbed the blankets, pillows, and went to this little room where they had like coiled up big bed things, and we slept on there for a few hours, set our alarms, and then headed back to the airport. We already had our luggage over there, so we didn't have to deal with any of that. Perfect for a little layover, and so affordable. So after our layover, we flew into Tokyo. We headed to the hotel, which was Shiba Park Hotel. Incredible hotel. All rooms in Japan generally are quite small. They're known for being small. This was just perfect because we had a little bunk bed, and we had a single bed, a little sitting area, and enough space for our cases and whatever. And of course, the magical Japanese toilets, which game changer. Some of them even have like fans on them. So after you've, had a little squirt, you can then put a fan on. Stunning. Wish we had them in the UK, to be honest. Never felt so clean in all my life. The area we stayed in was great because it was so much quieter than everywhere else, and we could easily get everywhere by train. Google Maps, game changer for getting around. You can find all your trains, your buses, everything. What I will say is when we were in Tokyo, because of all the high-rise buildings, it did affect the signal a bit, and sometimes it would tell you that your location was somewhere completely different. You're a bit like, oh, we're very lost. At first we thought like our maps were broken, but all of our maps were doing it. So it was that. We Googled it and realised. Things to see there. There's loads of temples to see. I'll put a little list up here, but there's temples, sumo wrestling, which we booked on Get Your Guide, which was great. It was really fun, like interactive experience where, they call you up, you get a bit involved, it's a bit of fun, and obviously it's just a bit of culture. Really weird, because like, honestly, the amount of times I saw a ball sack was countless. But yeah, fun experience. Food-wise, the first thing we actually did when we arrived, so we arrived at like 8 o'clock at night. Well, in fact, by the time we got to our hotel, it was about 10 o'clock. We headed to Ichiran, which is a famous ramen place, which they have in literally most of the cities in Japan. But we knew there was going to be a queue, so we got there and we queued, but actually we only queued half an hour. I know people queue a lot longer, but it also was 11:30 at night, so who was eating dinner at that time? I mean, obviously people were, but crazy, you'd never get that in the UK, it'd all be closed. 24 hours it opens as well, like madness. We had our ramen there, and honestly, everyone says it's like overrated, but it's not. It's such a cool experience that you go in, they lift a little flap, they bring you ramen, they bow, like cool culture, and the actual ramen was delicious. Like, yes, we had some other great ramens in Japan, but that one was just as delicious. Delicious. whatever I'm trying to say. Delicious. One of my highlights from Tokyo was actually Shibuya Crossing, which is crazy because I actually don't like cities. And it was the most chaotic city ever. And the crossing was really cool. I just liked it. The mass people, like everything. And there were so many shops, restaurants and things down there. We actually did do a little bit of shopping, went into the Don Quixote, I can't even say it. But yeah, that was chaotic and that was overstimulating as hell. I needed to get out of there ASAP. So many floors, so many things, crazy. But we did go into Goo. Goo I loved, and I'd already seen like the viral Goo handbag on TikTok, so I obviously bought it. It was £8 and I wore it every single day on the trip. So that's Tokyo. While we were leaving Tokyo, we actually sent our luggage to Kyoto. So we were actually getting the bullet train from Tokyo to Mount Fuji, and we were staying there just one night before going to Kyoto. So we decided to ship our luggage so we didn't have to have it on the train, didn't have to pay extra. So literally, we gave it to them. We told them obviously the station we were going to, which was Kyoto, and off they shipped it. I think it costs £10 per person. It's so worth it just to not have to deal with your case. We just packed a little overnight bag to go to Fuji, hopped on our train, went to Fuji, and then when we arrived in Kyoto, our luggage was there. So that was great. A little bit about Fuji. This was probably all three of our highlights. It was the most beautiful place. There's only 70 or 80 days a year where Mount Fuji is actually visible, and it was visible the entire time we were there. So we had the first evening and all of the next day, we had Mount Fuji, and even on the train the next day, saw it on the way out. And even actually at the end of our trip, flying out of Tokyo on the way to China, we saw it again from the plane, which was so cool. So yeah, we were extremely lucky. Things I would recommend doing there would, of course, just be going for a walk around the streets. All the streets with views of Mount Fuji are incredible. The Churito, I don't know if that's how you say it, pagoda, I'm just going to say the pagoda, beautiful. Now, obviously, it's very famous and it's the view with the pagoda and Mount Fuji, and you do have to queue. You do have little signs all the way up to say how long you've got left, like queuing. I think we actually didn't queue for very long at all. It was about 20 minutes. And then once you are in there, you get like a 5-minute slot to take your photos, do whatever. It seems really chaotic, but we actually were panicked, thinking we wouldn't have time, and we still had like 2 minutes to kill at the end. They then come through the little dog lead and like scurry you out of there. It's quite funny, ringing a little bell. That was great, and it's so worth queuing. And also definitely go for the cable car. The cable car was also great. Amazing views over the lake, and you also obviously see Mount Fuji up there. There's a swing that you can pay to have a go on. Meg and Dan did have a little romantic time on their swing. I didn't opt for it because I didn't think it was a good enough Instagram opportunity, so didn't want to pay for it. The girl is all about the Instas. Then we got the train to Kyoto. And also, by the way, when you get in the trains, definitely get a bento box. What a fun experience. They heat them up for you as well. So then when you're on your train, you just get a little hot rice and chicken or whatever you order. It's great. Love it. Kyoto, we loved. It was like a little, you know when you go on like a European trip and you go to like the old towns, it really gave that vibe. However, it was so busy. It was crazy crowds, like madness. But it was all so beautiful, especially like around the pagoda area, which is like the main street up to one of the temples where all the like street food or shops are. That street was chaotic, but I actually loved being in there because all the shops and stuff were really nice. There was a really nice chopstick, I can't say it. There was a really nice chopstick shop where you could choose, so you chose your chopstick and then it was free to get it engraved. So I got my name in Japanese and my name in English on one of each. I will show you all this. I'm actually going to show you in a separate part of the video all my souvenirs that I bought because there's quite a few. But yeah, so that was really fun. And we also did a tea ceremony while we were there. Now, we hadn't booked this until literally like 3 days before the trip because everyone was saying online, best thing we did, best part of the trip. And we were like, oh God, we're really missing a trick here. Let's get a tea ceremony booked in. So I think it worked out like £40 a person. We booked on Get Your Guide and it came with the kimono hire, which you have to do when you're in Japan. You actually get to keep the kimono on for the rest of the day. So we had the kimonos until 5:30 that day. And we went around the streets in them, you know, like people are out there in their normal clothes and you're there in your kimonos bowing. Really, really fun experience. If I was to do it again, I probably would get hair and makeup done. I didn't this time just because, you know, we were being on budget. But when everyone's walking past with the hair and makeup done, I was like, oh, I want to look like that. I wouldn't say it was the highlight of my trip like other people had, but it was definitely super fun and just such like a cultural experience. She also told me that I was really good at making matcha, so obviously I took that. There's lots of places you can go from Kyoto. So you can go to Nara, you can go to the bamboo forest, you can go to some of the shrines. We did all of the above. And it's so worth like just getting on the train and going for 40 minutes. Like it literally costs, what is it, 200 yen, which is about £2. So it's just worth just getting on the train and going to do it. Like the bowing deers in Nara were amazing. Do be careful. They do headbutt you. They do bite you. I had a silk skirt on, so obviously very thin. And when they bit me, it actually hurt. And I had bites all on my bum. And it's just fun because you're there bowing at deer. What deer bow in this world, you know? It's great. I can't think of the name right now and I don't want to go on my phone because my battery pack's currently balanced on top of it. The Inari, it's Inari something shrine, that one. I'll put it here. That one was great. So we tried to go as early as we could in the morning, but when we got there, it was still so busy and we'd literally got there just before it opened. Like the street stuff wasn't even open at the time, but it was busy and I was panicked about content and I was like, oh God, I don't want people in it. But you know, the further and further you go, the less people there are because most people don't want to carry on walking up those steps. Like there's a lot of steps and it's very steep. So yeah, just keep going and eventually you might get a good spot. We ended up with a good little space where there was hardly any people. So just keep going and take water. After Kyoto, we then got the train to Osaka. I didn't have very many expectations for Osaka, but actually it ended up being amazing. Like I loved it there. It was literally foodie town. So I'm obviously a foodie. Had to try everything that I'd seen on TikTok. The viral egg sandwich really lived up to the hype, I have to say. The steak one Dan had, I didn't actually try it, but it didn't look like what it looks like online, you know? And then we went to the big street food street. So we went there quite a few times per day, actually. So much food, just so many things that you've seen online. You're like, oh my God, there's that. And the ones with obviously the massive queues are the ones that you've seen. So the cheesy coin, the cheesecake, the wobbly, like famous cheesecake. There was everything in this market and it was so cheap. I did a challenge of using 3,000 yen, so £13 to see how much I could get. I actually ended up going under budget and I had so much food. If you want to watch that video, it is over on my TikTok and my Instagram. But yeah, you'll definitely not be short of food. And also there's loads of like nightlife going on around there. So if you're into going out, there are clubs and things and bars. We did go into a bar and have a cocktail, but nothing crazy. There's also a temple there. The one with the scary face, can't think what it's called again, shock. So I'll put it here. That was cool to see. Very different to all the other temples in Japan. Very weird, but also cool to see. And it wasn't too busy, like there's hardly anyone there. So, and everyone kind of respects that you stand far away from it. So you've got a shot of the whole thing without people in your picture, which is also great. One of our favourite things we did there was ring making. So you go into the little shop, you choose like what shape ring you want, what design, engraving, and then they literally hammer it into shape, which I was fascinated by. I just thought they'd have a load of these shaped rings behind the desk that they used, but no, literally hammered it in front of you. And then I got my name engraved in Japanese. Again, I'll show you all these souvenirs at the end. Then after Osaka, we actually headed over to the islands. We went to Okinawa, which, paradise on earth. However, we had bad weather the entire time we were there. We had cloud and rain and wind, which we were not prepared for. We'd obviously been doing like thousands of steps a day all through Japan, and we were ready to have like a little bit of relaxation, lying on the beach, sunbathing at the end. That was not the case. We stayed at the Moon Beach Museum Resort, which was perfect, especially as the weather was bad, because this hotel was great. It had shops in it. It had an art gallery. You know, there was things to do that didn't involve going outside, which was perfect. And also there was like an indoor pool, there was an outdoor pool. They also took us on a day trip to a little private island, which, you know, when it's raining and you're actually snorkeling things, it really doesn't matter. You're getting wet anyway, just go in. Once we were underwater, we were seeing, you know, Nemos, there was loads of clownfish, sea snakes. You have no idea it's raining above you. We also did a scuba dive while we were there with Okinawa diving. That was amazing. On the dive, we saw loads of anemone fish, like so many, actually. Loads of different species, really cool to see. We saw a sea snake, we saw sea cucumbers, sea slugs, nudibranch, like everything. We didn't see anything big, which I thought we would. You know, it's known for like turtles as well, though, which I know this sounds really ungrateful, but I don't care about turtles. I see so many turtles. Every time I dive, I see turtles, and everyone's like, oh my God, turtle. And I'm like, yep, another turtle. Anyway, it was cool. We also went on the ferry to Tokishika Island, which is beautiful. Like even in the cloud, like you could see how blue that water was. The water there is actually famous for the colour of blue it is. It was beautiful. I would love to see what it looks like when it's actually sunny. So I'm obviously going to have to go back. Also thought I'd add that our flights from Osaka to Okinawa were only like £50. So it's not expensive to go over to the other islands. There's also other islands you can explore from there, which are better for like scuba diving, seeing hammerheads and other animals. I would like to do that next time. Originally, that's kind of what I'd planned we were doing in my head, but then food kind of took over and we smashed out everything else and didn't really focus on the marine life side of things, but worth it anyway. And then from Okinawa, we flew back to Tokyo and then back to England from there. We went again via China, and this time we actually stayed for a few nights and we did the Great Wall of China. We did the, what's it called? The palace, big palace. Can't remember what it's called. We did the big palace in China. We went to Beijing Zoo and saw the pandas. Like, Beijing Zoo entry was £2.09. Like, what kind of zoo charges £2.09? How are they even feeding these animals? Blows my mind. We didn't actually go and see the other animals. We went to the polar bears, which were a bit depressing, they were pacing. And then we went straight to the pandas and then we left because we didn't come to see a zoo, you know. I just wanted to see the pandas while we were there because when in China. Anyway, enough about China. This is about Japan. I'm now going to show you my souvenirs. Okay, I don't even know where to start with all of this, to be honest. Do you know what? I'm going to start with the most random thing in the high chews. So high chews are all over Japan. They're obviously a sweet. They've got the classic like apple, grape, strawberry flavours. But in Okinawa, they have a limited edition flavours. They've got the pineapple and the mango. 10 out of 10. I bought big multi-packs. Worth every penny. Can't wait to eat them in the UK. So when we were in Osaka, they had a street which was known for like kitchenware. And it is so cheap. So I got this. This was actually like on the expensive side, and this was 1,400 yen. So that's around, I'm trying to think about it, like £7, which for this plate is beautiful. And I can't wait to like serve a sushi or something on that. In Okinawa, there's a famous glass blowing man, whatever you want to call him. And he does loads of beautiful glasses. So I picked up this one. This is actually the most expensive souvenir I bought. This actually worked out at about £20, which obviously for Japan is expensive, but it's such a nice glass and I'm gonna love drinking from that. Of course, as I was in Japan, I had to get a ramen bowl. That was the one thing I said I wanted before I went. So from here, it looks basic. And then inside, it's got marine life in it. It's obviously a whale shark. It's not the most beautiful dish on the outside or anything, and it's not very traditional, but I couldn't resist when I saw the inside. I mean, I'll probably get another ramen bowl at some point because I like to have two, but I just thought this one was super cute. And this one worked out at like £3, so stunning. So next up, the ring. I don't know if you can see. It's got engraving on the front. It's really not focusing on that at all. Can I get it to? Oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, so you can see my engraving of my name on there, and that's a little gold ring that they hammered into shape. This cost, I think it was £11.70. I went for brass. The one I actually wanted was gold and cost over £200. So I was like, well, no. As much as I would love that, and obviously it'd last forever, it's not in the budget right now. So went for the brass one, so won't be able to wear it all the time, but such a nice souvenir. Next up, chopsticks. So I actually have 2 sets of chopsticks. So the first one is from the shop I said about in Kyoto, where you could go and choose them. So I got, can you see that? Come on, focus. Yeah, there we go. I got some Mount Fuji ones, because obviously Mount Fuji was my favourite place. And then I got my name engraved in English and in Japanese. So there they are. They're so nice. I love them. But then when we were in Kyoto, we also went to Hashi Lab, which is a place where you can make your own chopsticks. So you chose your wood and you literally did every part of it. You were grinding it down, whatever we want to call it, sanding it, and then had them engraved afterwards. So I'll just show you these. These are a lot more obviously basic because I made them. But here they are. And then again, they've got my name in Japanese. They've got Japan 2026, and they've got a little image of Mount Fuji. So super cute little souvenir. And also just like such a fun activity to do while you're there. So yeah, they were from Hashi Lab. A lot of you will know I collect Christmas tree decorations from every country I go to. So I got this one of Mount Fuji. It's a little bell. That was 2,200 yen. So that was actually £10, which is, you know, expensive as Japan goes, but got to be done. Need my Christmas tree decoration. This is one of my favourite items, is a seal bottle. Let me get it out for you. I'd actually seen this on Instagram like 2 weeks prior to going to Japan, but I had no idea they were sold in Japan. How cute is that? Is that not the best bottle you've like ever seen? Inside you've got your little straw. Like, oh, I'm obsessed with that. How funny. I can't wait to use it. But yeah, see it on Instagram, no idea they were there, and we were going past the shop on the last day and I was like, oh my god, there's that bottle. They had it in a penguin and a seal, and I did really struggle to choose because both animals I love, but I just thought the seal was a bit more iconic, so ended up with that. Also got a free, I'm not even sure what this is. Let's open it because I haven't opened it yet. But the guy, when I was buying that bottle, was like, oh, do you want it tax-free? Because obviously you can get tax-free shopping. So they put it in like a jail bag that you can't open until you get back into your country. And I was like, yeah. And then he said, what are you paying with? And I was like, oh, MasterCard. He was like, oh, an extra 10% off. And I was like, great. And he was like, and you get a free gift. So it's a free gift. No idea what that is, to be honest. It's probably a sports team. It looks like basketball, maybe. Basketball team? Well, I might cut it up and put it in my scrapbook, who knows. That's all my souvenirs. Sad. But yeah, I obviously got quite a lot of souvenirs, but it was super cheap, so it doesn't really matter too much. Some things that you need to know that are like essential for Japan. Number one is you can use Apple Pay pretty much everywhere. There's the odd market stall that might be like no cash only, but generally everywhere accepts Apple Pay. You need a Suica card. So this is on your Apple Wallet. You can just press plus and add a Suica card, and then you can put your money on it. You need that for train, buses, and if you've got money left over on the end, you can use it to pay in like 7-Eleven, Family Mart, things like that. But you literally use it just to like tap on, tap off public transport like you would with your card here in the UK. eSIM's essential because you need your internet to find your way around on Google Maps, and trust me, you're going to get lost. You need that internet. And also, if you're trying to find places you want to go and eat, it's just easy if you've got data. I used Airalo when I was there, so did Meg. Worked perfectly fine, and I have got a code for Airalo, so you can either comment on here or message me and I will give you my code. It gives you, I think, £2.50 off your eSIM, which is quite good because I think one of the eSIMs was like £7, so £2.50 off that is great. Some things to know is it's seen as rude or bad etiquette to eat in the streets. They don't seem to mind the drinking. It is told that you're not supposed to, but we saw loads of Japanese people drinking. But definitely don't eat whilst walking around. Try and sit down. Most of like the market stores even have a seating area because of this. As for everything else, everyone is so friendly in Japan. They go literally above and beyond to help you. If we were lost or we asked someone for directions, they would like go out of their way to take you to where you need to be. They wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, go over there. They literally physically take you. There was one guy waiting for his train who came away from where he's waiting for his train to take us to the train station we were supposed to be at. So cute, love them. It's also so clean, but what I will say is there's no bins like anywhere. So take a little bag out with you that you don't mind putting like your bottles or your food wrappers in, because otherwise you're gonna just be carrying around wrappers for hours. Another thing that's really fun is most places like the train stations and tourist attractions have stamps. So if you take a little notepad with you, you can get your stamps. We didn't, and we ended up putting them on the back of our like receipts and things. Eventually, Meg and Dan did buy a book and I found a little book in one of the hotels. But yeah, just stamp away, and it's quite fun just to go and find them. Some of them are like hidden. There's an app you can use to try and find them, and you have to go and like ask the wardens at the train station, like, oh, have you got the stamp? And they'll give you the little stamp. So it's just a fun little challenge. But I think I will wrap it up there. But any questions, please do message me. I've obviously got more information, videos and photos over on my Instagram page, so check them out. But I hope you've enjoyed this and it's been helpful. Bye.